Hello Sagittarius, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me for your June 2023 Tarotscope. In the description box below, you will find links to all sorts of goodies, including links to personal readings. There will also be a timestamp in the description box if you would like to jump to the start of your reading. Please do keep in mind that this is a collective reading, not a personal reading, so only take what resonates with you and leave the rest. It is my absolute pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you so much for being here as well. We're going to be looking at what you have healed or learned over the past 6 months. What are you moving away from this month? What are you moving closer to this month? And where the next 6 months could take you. We're also going to be getting some theme songs or song for you for the month, and you may want to listen to those songs in their entirety because there may be messages for you there. Let's dive in, Sagittarius, and see what is coming through for you. Please, Father, Mother, Life, Universe, Spirits, Guides, Angels, our cosmic team, our ancestors, our higher selves, what has Sagittarius healed or learned over the past 6 months? What has Sagittarius healed or learned over the past... Okay, thank you. What is Sagittarius moving away from this June, please? What is Sagittarius moving away from this month, June 2023, please? All right, thank you. What is Sagittarius moving closer to, please? What is Sagittarius moving closer to in the month of June 2023? Okay, thank you. Where could the next 6 months be taking Sagittarius, please? Where could the next 6 months be taking Sagittarius, please? I do feel like some of you could be traveling over the next 6 months or going on some sort of spiritual journey. For some of you, that could even look something like a spiritual pilgrimage. And maybe this is something that either you have felt called to do personally, which, I mean, you probably have to feel called to do it to some degree, to embark on such a thing. But for some of you, I feel like, okay, we'll take those. For some of you, I feel like it could be something where you just, the reason why I'm pointing it out in this way is because you may feel called to go somewhere that maybe isn't super popular or isn't a typical spiritual pilgrimage for some. And then for others of you, there could be like a known spiritual pilgrimage that you are embarking on over the next 6 months, like an actual physical journey. Though I do not feel like that will resonate with everyone by any means. I feel like that's a very select few. Tell us more, please. What has Sagittarius healed or learned over the past 6 months? Okay, thank you. Tell us more, please. What is Sagittarius moving away from this month? Okay, thank you. Tell us more, please. What is Sagittarius moving closer to? I feel like it's these here. But you do have some pretty big major arcana cards there. The Death and Rebirth card, as well as the World. We also have the Eight of Pentacles that fell out here. So I do feel like you're going through a transformative process again. Maybe you are closing out cycles that have been left repeating, as what I'm getting. Again, the World can be a card of travel. So for some of you, I feel like through that pilgrimage of sorts, I feel like some of you are able to close out that cycle and allow things to, die, or are able to release things that have needed to be released in order to create a rebirth process for you. Tell us more, please, about where the next 6 months could be taking Sagittarius. Good Lord, that is way too many cards. 8 of Wands in reverse. I feel like, thank you. The next 6 months could, I feel like it could feel slow for some reason. I don't know. It just feels like whatever you're embarking on over the next 6 months, I feel like you may have certain expectations about how it might unfold, and I feel like it could actually go or feel a lot slower than what you had anticipated. Take that as it resonates. What song or song does Sagittarius need at this time, please? What song? Okay, thank you. All right, let's dive in. So, the past 6 months, what have you learned or healed? We do have here action. You have the courage to express the unique, loving colors of your soul. I mean, here's the thing. I'm just going to be quite honest. I feel like the past 6 months have taught you that nothing is going to change without your effort. Okay? I don't know why, but for some of you, I feel like you may have felt like something was out of your hands, or that there was nothing you could do about it. And in reality, what actually was taking place is that the effort wasn't there. Now, I want to be very clear. I'm not saying that maybe you weren't physically putting effort into something, because you may have been, right? So for example, and I don't know why this is coming in, maybe someone will resonate with this, but for example, if you're going to therapy, but you're just showing up and you're not really, your energy isn't there, like you're not aligned with the healing that it can provide, you're not going to get the results you want. It's like going to the gym and sitting down. Do you know what I'm saying? So I feel like over the past 6 months, you have come to this understanding or have gained this awareness of yourself that in order to create a certain outcome, there has to be effort put there. There has to be an alignment there, not just of the physical, but of your energy, of your mind, of your heart as well. Because you can't just show up to say therapy and then expect for things to happen. No, you have to actually open up. You actually have to dive deep. You actually have to be willing to break down the walls, right? So again, take it how it resonates with you, but I feel like this is something that you've come to understand over the past 6 months. If it would focus, there we go. Okay. You also have here joy. You delight in the love of life and bring a spirit of fun to all that you do. So this is very similar energy that I'm getting coming through, actually. It feels very much to me like you, how do I say this? It's very hard to see joy if you are always looking for pain, for example. Or it's hard to see things to be happy about if you are, ticked off and looking for reasons to be ticked off. And what I mean by that is if you are in a constant state of life is shit, then that is what you're going to find. That is what you will see. That is what your reality will present to you. And part of that is because you are magnetic and you attract to you what it is you put out into the universe. But another part of that is that your brain will literally seek out things that align with whatever your thoughts are. So, I feel like this is, both of these things kind of are showing up as going hand in hand, in the sense that I feel like you're discovering and learning that in order to be joyous or experience joy, you actually have to be seeking joy. It requires effort. I also feel like you're finding joy in things that maybe you didn't before or struggled to before, or how do I say this? Because it feels like for some of you, I feel like there are things that may have created joy in your experience. Oh gosh, how do I word this? Because this is what it's feeling like, okay? Take it if it resonates. If not, just leave it where it lies. But I feel like a good example of this would be having children and, enjoying your children, loving your children, finding joy in your children, but it not really driving home, or not being able to fully experience the joy of being a parent until you sink into it. I hope that makes sense. For whatever reason, that's the way it was coming through. But I feel you could have gone through something similar, right? Where you like enjoyed something, or something that gave you joy, but like you really weren't able to bring it fully through your being and to feel it in every facet of who you are. And maybe that's because there were walls put up, perhaps, that prevented you from doing so, or maybe you were distracted or something like that, whatever the situation, or whatever that may apply to. But I feel, again, part of this is like you actually have to do work, right? Like you actually have to put effort in. You actually have to be willing to open up and let joy in. Not only like creating it and seeking it out, but actually being willing to let it in as well. Okay? So I feel like these are some pretty big lessons to have taken place. Okay, let's see what else we have here for you. You also have tolerance. You appreciate other points of view because you sense the love in everyone. Yeah, I mean, I'm picking this up in the sense of how it's explained here, appreciating others' points of view and tolerating them, but it almost feels more like an acceptance to me. Almost like this is what, how do I say this? Like accepting that other people have different points of view and allowing them to be where they are. Maybe that looks like tolerance. I don't know. Maybe you would resonate with that, but that's how it feels to me. I also feel like your tolerance levels for experiences have changed. For some of you, for example, you may have been kind of, how would we say, trigger happy when people kind of rubbed you the wrong way or pushed your buttons or something like that. And you may have found that your ability to tolerate other people's nonsense has increased over the past 6 months. And for some of you, I feel like this is because, here's the thing, I'm just gonna say this. Sometimes we have a very short tolerance for other people and our anger, for example, because we're very angry with ourselves, because our tolerance for ourselves is very low. Okay? And so I feel like for some of you, there's been this healing that has been taking place. And through that healing, whatever that looks like for you, I feel like you've come to this space where maybe that anger within yourself is what is the word I'm looking for, please? It feels like it's like dwindling or diminishing, or it has diminished or something. And that has allowed you the ability to be more tolerant with other people, to not allow that anger to get such a quick reaction from you. It's a very interesting one. It just feels very much to me like there could have been some healing within self that has allowed you to release or deal with some of your anger or your intolerance for yourself. Because here's the thing, like as above, so below, as within, so without. So whatever we experience, they are reflections in a lot of cases to us, or they're showing us something about ourselves in some way. This, we are living in what's like a mirror type of realm. Okay. And so when you're intolerant toward other people, often there's an intolerance within you for something. Or if there's, this, let's say, quick judgment, then there's often something like that within you. And so I feel like there's been some kind of healing or some kind of work done, which has allowed you to be more tolerant of others. Maybe you've been able to forgive yourself for things, or forgive others for things, or something. Releasing fear, I feel. You have here the Hierophant in the reverse. Yeah, so this is, breaking free from what has been typical, I feel. That's how it's showing up. The Hierophant in the reverse is a very kind of rebellious type of energy, because in the upright, it's more of your tradition, or how do you say, like society type of rules, or organized religion, like those sorts of things. And so, first of all, we have 5, which is about change, sometimes conflict or instability. It can also be about movement. And so, again, I feel like you have stepped outside of what you normally would have done. So, for example, like I was saying here, it feels like if you want to create certain circumstances, you actually have to put that effort in. Like really, really go in it, right? Not half-assed, not, dipping your toe in, not, okay, I'm going to show up, but I'm just going to sit there type of thing. Actually putting in that movement, taking that action. And I feel like this is outside of your norm. It's kind of like rocking the boat a little bit, right? And I feel like this is something that you may have done, or begun to implement again over the past 6 months. We also have here the Sun in the reverse. Wow, yeah. So I mean, here's the thing, right? It's wild how these show up, okay? And where they're showing up with the cards, because we have joy here. The Sun in the upright is joy. It is. It's happiness. It's joy. It's one of the most happy cards, if not the happiest card in the entire deck. Okay? It is a representation of the inner child. It is a representation, again, of the Sun, which is about creativity and vitality, and, that zest for life, the success, celebration, pleasure, greatness, all these sorts of things. In the reverse, it's the complete opposite, naturally. It's negativity, it's depression, it's sadness. It is the inability to see the good things in life, right? And so, again, I feel like you're understanding that if you want to see it, like, you actually have to be willing to seek it out. You actually have to be willing to allow it in. So it almost feels to me like these are things that you've learned over the past 6 months, and it's like you could have found yourself being able to flip these things around, in a sense. Especially with this Sun card here. Because I feel like there's this understanding that you may have come to where it's, if I'm just going to be negative and, sit in my depression and my sadness, like, it's not helping me. I'm just creating more of that. And I feel for some of you there, again, it's been like this epiphany or revelation of some kind that has shown you, no, like, you actually have to put effort in. You have to actually seek that light. We also have, wow, okay, so let me, holy freaking banana nuggets, Batman. Because first of all, this is a lot of major arcana. which the major arcana is the journey of the self. Okay, it is your journey through yourself is a good way to explain that. And the the word arcana comes from the word arcane, which is essentially mysteries or things that are hidden. So it's the things that are hidden or kept secret about yourself, things that you actually have to dive deeply to find, to figure out, to uncover. They're not just there on a silver platter for you. They can be, but you have to go looking for them first, type of thing. And you have 3 of them out here for the past 6 months. So it does feel to me like the boat that you've been living in for the past 6 months has been all sorts of everywhere. It has been rocking, because I feel like you have, for some of you, gone through a very big uncovering over the past 6 months of yourself, um, uh, gaining more understanding and awareness of yourself and life and your reality. And yeah, it just feels like a big awakening for you. You do have the strength card here in the reverse, which is fascinating AF, because in the upright, this is a card of compassion, okay? Which, ironically enough, is going to be laid with this tolerance card here. Okay, so again, in the upright, I mean, this is a very tolerant energy. It's a very compassionate energy. It is a very loving energy. Leo energy is very warm. Okay. And so with it in the reverse, right? I feel like these are the means by which, or these are the lessons that you've learned, and through them. I mean, it's essentially saying everything that I've said about each of these first oracle cards out is exactly what it felt like it was. I hope that makes sense. Because I feel like you've learned some sense of compassion that maybe like wasn't there before, right? It feels like with each of these, it's like there was something there that was missing, something that was not working, that was not implemented, embodied, however you want to say it. And you have essentially, from the looks of it, over the past 6 months, transformed these things, or at least, at the very least, had the opportunity to do so. So what are you moving away from this month? Because that is a lot of transformation. Seriously, you have the word transformation, literally. That's wild. So it says, you use the power of love to move through illusions and shift into awareness. Yeah, I mean, that's what I've been saying, right? It's felt like you've woken up. It's felt like you've had this awakening or this wake-up call that's taken place. And I feel like you're moving away from the illusions, moving away from all of the things that you thought, let's say, were impossible, or that you couldn't do, or that whatever it is, right? Like you are moving away from the confines that you placed yourself in previously. You also have here willingness. You really cannot make this stuff up, Sag. You are able to compromise if the end result is love. So again, moving away from that kind of, this is how it is, this is how it's going to be, there's no changing it, there's nothing. No, it's putting in the work, transforming through putting in the work, right? So I feel like you're moving away from that kind of stagnant type of energy where you essentially put these restrictions on yourself and implemented them, whether that was your intention or not, right? Essentially, it's like telling all 30 trillion cells or so within your being, like, we're staying the same, and they're like, okay. Right? And I feel like now, over the past 6 months and now moving forward, I feel like you are moving out of that state of being and discovering that you have the power within you to transform, that you have the power within you to be able to create a different experience, but you have to be willing to do that. And not just, by, I don't know, I keep being brought back in my mind to like going to therapy but not talking, or not opening up. I don't know why I keep being brought back there, but I feel like it's that similar energy, moving away from that. It's like, okay, actually, I'm going to be open. Actually, I'm going to try. Like, actually, I'm going to like delve into this change full on. Like, I'm not just dipping my toe in. I'm not just, testing the water. Like, no, I'm really going to give it everything I've got. Yeah, you have the King of Swords here in the reverse showing up as what you're moving away from. This is that kind of, I'm just gonna be honest. This feels very much to me like moving away from lying to yourself. Right? The King of Swords in the reverse it can be this very manipulative, cruel, and even some might call it like weak type of energy. Right? It's like, and I don't mean weak as in physically weak. Okay? I want to make that very clear. It's weak in the sense of not, the way that it's coming through is like not being able to stand in your truth. Okay? Not being able to like overcome your mind or to get a grip on your mind in a sense. I hope this is making sense. Right? Because it's kind of like not being disciplined within yourself, letting your mind like run amok and do whatever the fuck it wants without any kind of no, no, I have control here. Again, I hope this is making sense. So I feel like you're moving away from manipulating, pardon me, yourself into believing certain things that aren't true and just letting your mind run amok. Right? That's how I'm seeing this. Gaining higher perspectives about yourself, I feel, is what you're moving, or the direction that you're moving in. Okay? And moving away from this like small-minded kind of way of thinking. You also have here the Nine of Cups in the reverse. Yeah, this is lack of true joy. Again, right? Moving away from that, I feel. Why did I do this backwards? That's wild. Let's do this. Moving away from that lack of true joy, because I feel like there's an understanding here that it starts within you. Cups energy is your feelings. It is your emotions, it's your intuition, your spirituality. And again, I feel like there's this acknowledgement that it starts with you. And so I feel that you are moving away from that lack of true joy by building it within yourself. By finding that emotional stability and that satisfaction within life through transformation and through being willing to do so. Okay. You also have here the Page of Pentacles. So I feel like this is about, kind of rooting into, how would I say this? It almost feels to me like rooting into being able to trust yourself. Right? She's standing here. She's literally in this card, like rooted in the ground, standing on one foot, balancing, right? And just holding this one pentacle with one hand. Like there's a lot of kind of trust here. And so I feel like you are, how do I say, moving away from that kind of imbalance within yourself, like the inability to trust yourself. I also feel like this could potentially be moving away from or becoming more focused. Okay? Again, with that willingness there, it's like just becoming more focused, more centered. So I feel like you're moving away from it. Just feels very like all over. that's how it's very difficult for me to kind of get into this energy because it feels like it's everywhere. And the Page of Pentacles in the upright is this very practical type of energy. And I feel like previously that's not where you may have been sitting. Right? I feel like there could have been like a lack of commitment to yourself previously. And now there's this more diligent type of energy coming through. So again, I feel like you're moving away from that being all like willy-nilly everywhere and expecting things to just kind of happen. It's like, no, I actually have to put the effort in. And it's requiring all of these facets of yourself. Oh, you can't see it. It's requiring all these facets of yourself, your mind, your emotions, and and the physical effort, right? So it's requiring you to be present on all fronts, not just one. And I think this is something that you're coming to understand. So moving away from just, like I said, kind of like, it's not going to happen, right? Okay, so what are you moving closer to then? We have creativity here. That's interesting, with the sun being that very creative type of energy. Also, Leo energy can be quite creative as well, so that's pretty fascinating. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, the Hierophant energy can be kind of creative as well, artsy, being that representation of Taurus. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like everything kind of points to opening up to new ways of doing things. If you're not actually creating something, like actually creating something, I feel like this is being open up to, or rather, being open to new ways of doing things. It does say here, you love to devise new ideas, innovations, and forms of illumination. So again, being very open to new ways of doing things, implementing them into your experience. And I do feel like this is something you're moving closer to. Yeah, it just feels like, again, like I'm kind of seeing it as like opening up. Again, stepping out of that rigid kind of way of thinking. I'm actually hearing something along the lines of like, I'm game to try anything at this point, or I'm willing to try anything. I'm willing to do what it takes. That could be something you have said or thought. To clarify, you have Two of Wands. Yeah, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. Truly. I mean, this is where you're heading, right? This is where you're moving closer to. Getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. Again, I said some of you may find yourself traveling. This, for me, intuitively is coming through as you may actually be doing so or considering that over the next month. It feels like making decisions, right? Like deciding that you're going to allow things into your experience, right? To explore, to again be uncomfortable, or rather, pardon me, be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I do feel like for some of you, like taking on these new ways of being are quite uncomfortable. But I do feel like there's an aspect of you that sees the benefits of it. Yeah, you do have the Six of Pentacles showing up here as well. And so, this is essentially about, again, before, I feel like you felt like there was nothing you could do, like it was out of your hands. You didn't have the knowledge, you didn't have the resources, you didn't have the power, you didn't have what it takes to create this massive change in your life. And I feel like over the next month, you are seeing more and more and more that you do have it. But that it is up to you in order to bring that through, in order to create it, in order to like bring it into your experience. Like you have to be willing to put in the effort. Okay. And the Ten of Swords. This is actually quite beautiful. So in the reverse here, the Ten of Swords is this energy of essentially like we can only go up from here. Right? And so I feel like you are moving into this space of things can't get worse. Right? There are things that are ending, because Ten of Swords can be this inevitable end. It's like in many depictions of the Ten of Swords, it's kind of like this being, some sort of being, some depends on the deck you're looking at, but essentially there are all these swords sticking out of its back, like it's dead, right? Like there's no coming back from the damage that's been done. And if we reframe it a little bit and look at it just a little bit differently, it is essentially saying like the suffering is over. It can't get worse from here. Um, you can now, or how do we say, the worst is over. Like you can now work on rising back up. Okay, does that make sense? So overcoming that kind of victim mentality, I feel, is what's happening here for you. Pardon me, over the next month. And I feel like part of that is releasing fears, especially those that are, created within your mind about maybe failing, right? About being defeated, about betrayal or something, whether that's of yourself or from somebody else, right? I feel like you're releasing fears around that, which could be allowing you again to continue to transform and to move forward, move in a new direction, I'm hearing. And maybe this uncovering of yourself and this understanding that you're coming to is what prompts you, for some, to embark on this kind of spiritual pilgrimage, right? Because I feel like there's this, I want to continue to get to the root of who I truly am. Because I feel like for some of you, there could have been this like living with a lie, and maybe you thought it was your truth, but living with a lie for so long that now that you're uncovering the truths of yourself, there's this deep desire to continue doing that, right? It's like, I want to see who I really am. I feel like part of it could be curiosity, but another part of it could be that kind of Sagittarian archer within you that's like, I just want the truth about who I am underneath all of this stuff. So I hope that makes sense. So where could the next 6 months be taking you, Sagittarius? You have spontaneity. Yeah, again, I mean, I do feel like there's something here. For some of you, I do feel like you're like maybe looking at, some kind of travel or something. But for others of you, I feel like even with looking at some of these things, I feel like you could be finding yourself like spontaneously wanting to embark on some kind of journey. Like you could find yourself one minute maybe thinking about it a little bit, and the next minute you're like, nope, I'm doing it. But it does say here, you move beyond the constraints of the mind and freely and lovingly embrace new situations. So again, it's that very strong energy that's been coming throughout your reading, saying it's about doing things differently. Because I feel like there's this understanding that doing it the way that you've always done it is not working. It has not worked. It will not work. And so there's this need, I feel, for some of you to actually step into this more open way of being. Which, to be fair, Sagittarius, that's one of the more positive aspects of your sign. And you're not the only sign to get this. As a matter of fact, throughout a majority of these readings, each sign I've noticed there's been this trend of looking at the more, how would we say, lower vibrational or negative aspects of their sign and embodying more of the positive, like releasing those, seeing those negative or lower vibrational aspects, and then embodying the more positive. Okay. And this is how this is showing up for you, right? Being more optimistic, being more open-minded, being more ambitious, being more versatile, and really allowing yourself to experience situations in a completely different way than previously. Because I feel like you've been living under your shadow, if that makes sense. So that would be beautiful to see from you over the next 6 months. I mean, I would love to see that show up in your readings. You also have here unity, beautiful. You understand that the love shared with another is amplified and has a ripple effect across the universe. So for some of you, right off the cuff, I feel like you are establishing this unity with yourself and your person or partner. For some of you, I feel like this could have been a little bit rocky or shaky over, let's say, the past 6 months, maybe more. and maybe even through June, perhaps. But I feel that over the next 6 months, as you begin to embody more of these energies, and as you begin to heal more and work through your things and discover the truth of who you are, I feel like you allow your person to get closer to you, kind of bringing those walls down a bit. And I feel like this creates a beautiful union, that begins to develop between you and your person. For others of you, I feel like this is unity within yourself that begins to unfold. And I feel like there's this, I'm actually getting the words of love, respect, compassion, nurturing that takes place within. Okay, so I feel like you could find yourself showing these things to yourself, and again creating that unity within you. And that could bring some tremendous joy into your experience, right? Because once you start, oh gosh, it's like not focusing. Once you start to create that unity within, the world seems a lot less heavy. There's a sense of peace that comes with that. And when we are more at peace and we're maybe not in survival mode so much, or we're not in combative mode so much, we are open to experiencing joy. We have the space to experience joy. You also have here discernment. Yeah, you are developing the skill to distinguish love from fear and truth from illusion. So again, this is that energy where I believe you're opening up more to seeing where you've been manipulating yourself, where others may have manipulated you. Perhaps you've been told in your life, this is how it is, and you bought that. I feel like I've said that to you in a reading before. Or you just kind of bought whatever somebody told you and then sold it repeatedly over and over and over again, and then experience those situations that reinforce that belief. I feel like you've done this. And so built up this illusion around who you are, and in truth, it's just been essentially the masks or the lies or the wounding or the trauma that's been layered on top of you, right? And I love this because as you get to know your own truth, and as you are able to discern, I feel like you're going to see the world in a completely different way. And to be fair, that starts with you, right? Because it's going to be beautiful, but first you're going to see you in a completely different way. And which in turn is going to make the world look significantly different. For example, if you've always been told that you will amount to nothing, then you look out into the world and it seems rather hopeless, rather daunting, right? Like, what's the point in trying? But if you start to uncover the truth about who you are and seeing that you have this power within you to be able to create joy, to be able to change, to be able to experience things, and to essentially write your own story, suddenly the world looks a lot brighter. There's a lot more color, right? To clarify, yes, you have the Ace of Pentacles, a brand new beginning, planting seeds for a brand new beginning. The opportunity to experience something different. The opportunity to trust in yourself. This is beautiful, Sag. Absolutely beautiful. So the next 6 months could be taking you to some pretty interesting places, both spiritually and physically, depending on you, of course. So what song do you need most, Sag? You have You For Me by Sigala featuring Rita Ora. I dance to every song like it's about you. I drink till I kiss someone who looks like you. I wish I was honest when I had you. I should have told you that I wanted you for me. Innocent lovers, we hold on to one another. Let's rediscover You are the one for me. So I'm getting a few things. One being, it's interesting because I do feel like for some, again, there is this energy of potentially being able to come into a beautiful union or reconnect in a more unifying way with your person through opening up, through being honest, through sharing, through bringing some of those walls down. Okay. For others of you, I feel like this is really about, how do I say this? I really hope I can explain this in a way that makes sense, because I feel like for some of you, the song is actually saying that you have seen yourself in songs, in movies, in different situations where you're like, that's me. Like I feel like that is within me. But for whatever reason have been unable to see it or embody it or believe it. But it's always been kind of there under the surface. I hope this makes sense. Because I feel, what is that song? I'm being reminded of another song. Good God, I cannot think of the name of it to save my life right now. But it is essentially, and I can't even think of the actual lyrics right now, so forgive me. But I'm totally not like in my human. um, but essentially, the song is about these superheroes, um, and not seeing yourself in that way. What is it? Okay, so I'm getting some of the lyrics now. Thank you. I've been reading books of old. Oh my gosh, I'm getting some of it. Hold on. Something like the legends and the myths. Um, oh my gosh, I can't think of. I know it's a Coldplay song originally, but I cannot. I'm sorry, you guys. I can't think of it. I was getting some of it, but it's like it's very fuzzy, as I'm trying to connect with it. So, but again, essentially, the song is about, reading about these heroes and these legends and these myths who are able to overcome these certain things and have these powers and these gifts within them, or about them, that helps them to move through life, or however, and not seeing those things within oneself. And I feel like that's what this is kind of about, right? Is like seeing those things, but not believing them to be true about yourself, even though you feel very called to them, or you feel like you resonate with them, or that there's some aspect of you that is similar to it, right? This would be something like reading a comic and like seeing yourself in the hero, which we kind of all go through this hero's journey. Okay. And I feel like you've seen that within yourself, but have been unable to connect. And I feel like you're in that space now where you are reconnecting with that, rediscovering those things about yourselves. I hope this makes sense. But you may want to listen to that song. There may be something more there for you. Okay. This has been a very, very interesting reading, and I've loved every minute of it. So thank you so very much for connecting with me. Thank you for being here. I truly do appreciate your time, your energy, your attention, and your lovely, lovely company. If something in this reading has resonated for you, please do the YouTube things by liking, sharing, commenting below. I love comments, or subscribing. It really does help the channel to grow by telling YouTube that there may be something valuable here for someone else. So I greatly, greatly appreciate you doing so. I pray that this month for you and the next 6 months bring you so much closer to your truth, to your soul's essence, that you are unable to uncover many, many more things about yourself that you find are valuable, that you find are more, how do you say, that you can identify more truly with. I pray that you're able to be more spontaneous and more discerning about what it is that is actually true for you. that you look into trying new things and uncovering new things about yourself, and that you become more and more courageous with sharing exactly who you are with the world, understanding that you have everything you need within you in order to transform. You have the power, you have the knowledge, you have the ability to trust yourself. And I pray that it only gets better from here. Take care of your unique, beautiful, loving soul. Peace be with you and within you. And I hope to see you on the next one. Bye.